Well, folks, how we doing tonight? This is Who Did You Boycott today? I can't even believe I'm starting a live broadcast after midnight. But I happened to be scrolling the Twitterland hallways, and I came across, I don't even know if I'm going to make it through this broadcast. My voice seemed to be leaving me. I got a lot on my plate right now. I just relocated back to North Carolina, my home turf, and I haven't even been able to find the energy or the time to unpack. Excuse me. I feel like my body is wearing down. But anyway, I happen to be strolling the Twitterland hallways tonight as I was working on my business stuff, trying my best to shift back over to entrepreneur, because I pray to God. I pray to God 24 hours a day that my people will have a safety net for the storm that's coming, for all of those that are not going to be led over the cliff to commit suicide. I pray however many is still standing when the dust settles, I pray to God that something that I have worked on in the past few months will be a lifeline. I say that to myself every day I get up. Alkaline, you're going to grind as hard as you can grind. And everything that you do, you are going to be able to hopefully be able to say, I have tested this out. I have tested it, and it is working, doing this or that. But I cannot say that with a straight face right now. But I certainly am working around the clock to build platforms to monetize them. Because it makes no sense. It makes no sense for me that we spend all of this time on these social media platforms, and those that are monetizing it have already monetized it. All well and good. All well and good for those who have the platforms and have monetized them. But I'm getting fed up. I'm getting darn fed up. That folks constantly saying, hit my cash app. Hit my darn cash app. Hit my darn cash app. Make sure you follow me. Follow everybody on stage. I was preaching that back in 2022. It fell on deaf ears. I was preaching it in 2022 when I became a part of this madness, because I did not engage in social media on a regular basis until 3 days after COVID hit, and I got the shock of my life. I'm here to tell you, when COVID hit, it shook my world. I was in a bubble. I was hooked on fantasy sports 7 days a week. Every waking moment, I was up. I was doing my fantasy sports. Because I had gotten burned out with entrepreneur. I took a break. I said, well, you know, you've been an entrepreneur since you were 9 years old. You took a little break and went in the military, and you served your military, and then you came out and you got back on the bandwagon, and you dived back into entrepreneur from 2001 to 2016. I had some good success, and I had some failures. I could say probably more failures than success almost. eBay paid off for a short while. Amazon paid off for a short while. I started my own independent contract business. That went down the tubes. I hadn't thought it out all the way. So I had to put it back in the shelf. But I tried. because I had made so much money being an independent contract driver. I said, well, maybe I should start my own business. Since I'm making all this money for someone else, I should be having my own business since I'm the driver. So a little brainstorm hit me to start my own independent contract business. But anyway, I'm fed up. I'm downright fed up. I'm personally going through a personal hardship right now myself. I had to liquidate a lot of my assets to try to keep my head above water. I'm fortunate I don't have anything to complain about because the government's going to pay me to the day I die. I know that's in the bank. Every day I wake up, I know that's in the bank. The government is going to pay me until I die. But there's so many folks in my community, those that I don't know, so many, I don't know half of them, but I know they out there suffering because I know if I'm barely keeping my head above water, I just can't even imagine what they're going through. And I'm not a wasteful person. I'm not a wasteful person. I've had some setbacks since 2012. I've been suffering from fibromyalgia, whatever that darn word is. I can't even pronounce it. Fibromyalgia. I didn't even know it until I got on Clubhouse. So I went from 2012 running back and forth to the doctor, pleading with them to tell me why am I in pain 24 hours a day. I can't sit down or in a chair. I can't lay down. My butt feels raw. It literally feels raw. So from 2012, I had to suffer through that. I tried to work part-time, and I could not get sleep. I could not sleep. I could not get a decent night's sleep, either two or 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night because of the pain. Luckily again, I managed to keep my head above water. I had my retirement. That's my nest egg. But I still could have used some income to combine with that retirement. But it didn't happen. But the Lord made a way. The Lord made a way. And I got through it. I always remember what my mother would say when times were hard. She would sit down at that table and she would say out of her mouth, the Lord would make a way. The Lord would make a way. And I found myself saying the very same words out of my own mouth. It did. It made sense because I heard it coming out of my mother's mouth as I grew up. Whenever those times got hard and my mother couldn't make ends meet and she could not, the coupons could not put food on the table and keep the lights on, and it was a fear of losing the roof over your head. My mom worked 2 and 3 jobs to start buying her first home in 1971. She didn't want to lose that home. And we as kids growing up, we did everything we could to help her out. I mean, we hustled like we had never hustled before. I mean, we hustled those cans and we hustled those bottles and we hustled those cardboards and we had our little candy store, our little paper routes, and we did everything under the sun to bring in that extra money to help my mom pay those bills. So she held on. She managed to hold on until her children went into the military. That was by the grace of God. Fortunate enough, the oldest child military, and then I came along. Well, let me correct that. I found out that my older brother went in, but he didn't last long. Then my older sister went in. She went in as an officer. Then my next sister went in. She didn't last long either. She just could not keep it together because that child was straight from the streets. She was not going to make it in that environment. But she tried. So bless her heart, she tried. Then it was my turn. It was my turn to go in there and send that allotment. So between me and my sister, we sending those allotments home. My mother kept that house. She kept that house, and she paid it off before she died. Long before she died. She had the blessing to know that she had paid off the house that made it possible for her 7 kids to get out of the projects. Boy, she did not want us to grow up in those projects. That's what she talked about constantly. I have got to get my kids out of this projects. So she finally did. And between all of us, between all the brothers and sisters, us pitching in where we could, we helped her make sure that she was able to keep her house like she wanted and raise her 7 kids in that house. So here I am. Here I am in the 21st century, 2024. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up. I'm dealing with my own hardship. But I'm still blessed. I'm quite blessed. I still have my investments out there. Someday they may pay off. Someday they may not. Who knows? I don't have no crystal ball, but the investment is already made. So I'm better off than most folks, and I thank the good Lord for that. I thank the good Lord every single day, every second of the day, that I'm so much better off than so many other persons. And here we are. We got lying focuses. We got these lying focuses on these social media platforms. We got these darn lying focuses on these platforms talking about cash out. Follow me here and follow me there. These darn social media platforms should have been monetized long before now. Every person that wants to be monetized should be monetized. That should have been a priority. That should have been something that you could control. Not your oppressor. That's something that you had the ability to control. Your oppressor, whatever that darn word, being oppressed, they didn't have any control over that. But did you persons care about doing that? No. You just care about following your little cliques and your little persons that you rub elbows with who are in your little circle. You don't care about that person, that no-name person that you don't know. Oh, I ain't gonna bother to follow them. They not in my inner circle. They not somebody that I rub elbows with. Most of the folks that I follow, I had to stop following people because they made it very clear to me that they did not want to support anything that I was trying to do. Only a handful of persons gave me any support. I sat in front of my computer sending DM messages until I was about dizzy. DMing folks the direct link to simply add their email address or add an account and go about their busy life. Do you think they took the time to support or click the link that I sent them? I sent it to them 3 or 4 times. Some people got my direct message 3 3 or 4 times. I counted it with my own 2 eyes. I counted it. I sent them the direct link 3 or 4 times. So I took money out of my own pocket that I did not have to spend. $500, way over $500, just to build a website so my community could gather their number count. I said, if they have the ability, if we collectively have the ability to gather our number count, then we can start strategizing how to make progress. So I said, Aquilin, you're going to build this WordPress website. You are going to build this website. It's not going to look pretty. It's not going to be professionally designed, but you're going to build it anyway. And after building the website, I made sure to add a way to earn a commission, that each person that joined could earn a 50% commission if they paid for the $20 for the whole year, or they could earn a 25% commission if they paid for the 6 months at a time. $10. 35% was going to the community fund. 35% of that cost was going to go be paid out, be put into a community fund, and each person would have a vote on how the money was going to be spent with receipts. Because I clearly understand that our community has been bamboozled and scammed and hustles, that there's a lack of trust. It's a lack of trust, and it's there for a reason. So I wanted to make sure that I covered all the bases. I wanted to spell it out in black and white that you are going to see proof of how this money is going to get spent. And you are going to get paid a commission to help share the link and spread the word. Maybe it's just a little bit of pocket change. Maybe it could have been a safety net if you got laid off from your job. All you had to do was share a link and join. That's all you had to do. Was just simply join the group for your state. I set up 50 groups for each state. All you had to do was click the link and join the group for your state, so that we could collectively gather our number count and converse with each other on what we're doing in one central location. In one central location, we could know where we needed to go to hopefully find information and resources to help out. But do you think folks joined it? No. It was asking too much. It was asking too much for them to simply join their state and share the link. So that expired after 1 year. I was certainly not going to pay the cost for another year. So I got another brainstorm. I said, Aqua, you're going to launch this boycott a second time. So this go round, I launch it on GoDaddy. It don't cost me as much as the first go round, but it cost me some hundreds of dollars. All folks had to do was put their email address in the little box. It wasn't going to cost anything. All I wanted to try to do was gather the number count for a boycott. Well, that didn't work. So I put up another platform on monittzing.com. Once again, I have built over 50 groups, over 60 groups. Folks, all they need to do is click the link and join the group for their state. That didn't work. So I put a community on my profile. That didn't work either. Only it's less than 30 folks have joined that community boycott group on my profile. And so the reason why I gave all of that background information is because I have spent a little over 2 years of being a part of this madness. I never hesitate to follow any person. I never hesitate to follow any person. I even make it an effort to donate when I can. And I know I have done that faithfully. I don't need anyone to examine that because I examine it for myself on my own conscience. That any time I hear about someone needing a donation and if I have it to do it, I'm going to do it. I may not be able to give nothing but $2, but I'm going to give that $2 or $5 or $10. And then you turn around and you listen, you sit back and you have your little 2 ears and you listen to how folks are just so motivated to shout out their little friends and cliques. And I be sitting right there on the stage with them like I'm invisible and I don't get a shout out. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, am I invisible? But I'm going to sit here and listen to one person after another shout out their little cliques, their little friend, like I'm not even there. It really makes you it really makes you step back and do some hard thinking. To say, what am I witnessing? What am I beating my head up against the wall for? Because I seem to be invisible. I seem to be downright invisible. So I got the message real loud and clear, so I decided to unfollow folks. I just went down the gamut of my profile. I said, I'm just going to click this unfollow right down the whole list. Because I wasn't even asking for that much. Compared to what I hear coming out of other folks' mouth that they are asking for. Compared to what I was simply asking to add your name to a website or a community group, and I couldn't get a tiny bit of support. So I said to myself, Aquilin, we don't deserve to be following each other. So I went down my list of names and I just unfollowed folks. So if you're wondering why I am not following you, you more than likely got one of my DMs. You more than likely got one of my DMs at some point. If you did not get one, you must have started following me after I got fed up with this madness. But if you happen to have been encountered with me in the first year, I went down my whole list of followers and I unfollowed folks. And I just started following folks who I did not even have any interaction with. That's what I did. So, but tonight for this broadcast is for this sorry human being named what's his name? Terrain Walker, and persons like him, ABM, Chef C, ABM, Chef C, DJ L Beats, all you sorry human beings who all of a sudden have the word Negro on your tongue. But I've been listening to you folks for well over a year and a half. I've been listening to most of you for well over a year and a half, and you never said Negro out your mouth. But now all of a sudden, every sellout person is a Negro, like you have seen their paperwork. Every sellout, every gatekeeper is a Negro. Every coon is a Negro. As I listen to the words coming out of you, sorry human beings' mouth, DJ L Beats, ABM, Terrain, I heard him tonight. Marcel for Congress, Naheem, who did I leave out? Chef C. All of a sudden, everybody is a Negro that's doing something negative in the community. All of a sudden, they are Negroes. They were not Negroes 6 months ago, because you sorry human beings won't send the word Negro out your mouth. They were Black Americans, won't they? They were African Americans, won't they? They were Freedmen's, won't they? They were ADOS, won't they? They were FBA. But all of a sudden, they are Negroes now. Like you folks have looked at their paperwork. Like you have looked at a DNA test. They just suddenly became a Negro. And it's sad because America and the OMB and the whole world don't need your help to paint Negro in a negative light, to erase Negro. They don't need your help. But you sorry human beings want to try to make Negro the scapegoat. They are going to be your scapegoat because you don't want to look in that mirror and blame yourself. So y'all little peon brains got on ESP. Y'all said, we're going to wake up today, and every time we want to say something negative about a person, that person is going to be a Negro. So every person that's in the audience listening, we are going to paint an image in their brain to make them, every time they think of the word Negro, that person has done something negative. We don't want them to think that could have possibly have been a Black American person. We don't want them to possibly think that could have been an African American person. We don't want them to think it possibly could have been a freedman. We don't want them to think it could have possibly been a FBA. We don't want them to think it could have possibly been an ADOS. Oh no. Oh no, we are going to hammer it. We are going to hammer it home every time they come into one of our Twitter spaces, listen to one of our YouTube channels, one of our Facebook Live, one of our Instagram live. We are going to tell them it's a Negro that done that. It was a Negro. And we're going to keep right on hammering it home 24/7. So in about a couple of months, they're going to be programmed. They are going to be programmed to think the way we want them to think. Because we want them to think that the Negroes are the sellouts. We want them to think that the Negroes are the coons. We want them to think that the Negroes are the gatekeepers that are harming their community. We have got to convince them of that. That is our mission. We are on a campaign mission. And we're going to hammer that home every time we speak in public on an audio app. Every single time that we speak on an audio app, we are going to be hammering it home that the Negro is the person behind being a coon. The Negro is the person who is the sellout. The Negro is the person who is the gatekeeper. Y'all persons are so sick. Y'all are gotten so sick and damaged by your enemy tactics that you are using the same tactics and you don't even recognize it. That's how damaged you are. It's pathetic. It's downright pathetic. But what can you expect from society? You're gonna have all different flavors of folks. All most folks care about is their own self-interest. I'm not shocked by it. I've been here long enough to have witnessed it. Over my 62 years. It's no shock to me. That's why I can call it out and spot it. Because I've been here for 62 years. I've seen quite a bit. In those 62 years. For all of you slow, dumb folks who think you're getting something over. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You're not fooling me. I certainly have stepped back and did my evaluation, and you sorry human beings are using your own enemy tactics. You are using your own enemy tactics, and you're proud of it. That's the low down part of it. You're proud of it, because in some folks' mind, it's all about survival. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's an evil world. It's a diabolical world. It's a terrorist world. It's so much in that environment that you got to get through and fight through every day of your life. And you don't want to be on the other end of that evil that really make your life miserable. You don't ever want that to be at your front door. So you are going to tell yourself, I am going to do whatever it takes that I don't be on the other end of that. Well, I have been on the other end of that. I know what it feels like. I know clearly what it feels like. So it doesn't put any terror in my heart. I've already went through it. May go through it again several more times before I leave here. It's nothing but life. It's nothing but life. I've been through it before, over and over, and I'll probably go through it many more times before I leave here. So it doesn't put any fear in me, because it's reality. It's just downright reality. Some folks are quite concerned all of a sudden. They're crashing and burning. They literally are crashing and burning. It's downright pitiful. I knew it was going to come. I said, Aqualad, it's going to come a day real soon that most of these folks that you've been listening to for well over a year, you're not going to be able to recognize them. You're not going to be able to recognize them. Just stay tuned, Aqualad. It's coming. It's around the corner. It's coming, and it has come. It has arrived. I said to myself, Aqualad, the day is going to come when you're not going to be able to recognize these persons that you've been listening to. You've been listening to their voice for well over a year and a half, and you're not going to be able to recognize them. And sure enough, that is what is taking place in real time. It's in real time, like never before. It don't get any more realer than that. It's happening in real time, and folks are crashing and burning. They are crashing and burning. Some want to vote for their enemy, the Republicans. Some want to vote for their enemy, the Democrats, and they think they got it right. protesters. I'm fighting for my community. I'm fighting for my ancestors. I'm fighting for my community. If you had a backbone, you would have boycotted by now. But you didn't have a backbone to do it. When you're dealing with the enemy, you are going to have to make sure they feel pain. You are going to have to make sure they feel pain if you want them to listen to your demands and your pain. There's no need to dance around it. If you want your enemy to recognize your pain, they got to feel pain. It's an equal exchange. It's an equal exchange. Your voting is not going to get them to listen to your pain. Your marching is not going to get them to listen to your pain. Your protesting is not going to get them to listen to your pain. They got to feel pain. If boycotting don't make them feel pain, you boycott them until they feel pain. If it takes 3 months, if it takes 6 months, if it takes a year, if it takes 2 years, if it takes 3 years, you keep on boycotting them until they feel that pain. Then they're going to know you serious. Then they're going to know you serious. But if you cannot make that clear to them, they are going to continue to impose their will. And your voice and your pain is not going to matter. Your voice and your pain is not going to matter to them. And your little vote is not going to matter to them. They have made that very clear. They have made that absolutely clear. For 50 years, let's count it. Well, let's say it's 55. Since folks got the right to vote, it's a little over 65. Well, no, 50. Let me count. Let me do my little math. 30 and 20 plus 5. And that's 55 years. So let's just round it off to over 50 years. We ain't got to be political correct. It's over 50 years. It's over 50 years. And let me give a shout out to Art. After listening to Art and doing my own personal research, the Negroes and the Black American Negro descendants and melanated persons have set a record in voting over the decades. And what do they have to show for it? They're at the bottom. They're at the bottom. They have broken records with going out to vote. They have set records and broken records, and what do they have to show for it? Your enemy said, we are going to open the gates and let invaders flood the country and let you have to pay the price. Let you have to pay for it. They said, we are going to open the floodgates and let them flood in. And you are going to pay for it. Whether you pay for it with your tax dollars or you pay for it with your own body, you're going to pay one way or the other. You are going to pay whether you pay for it for the discomfort or you pay for it because your life is at risk. Your life is at risk every day you walk out your door, because we have made a decision to let anyone in. And somebody may be lurking Someone may be lurking and waiting to take your life. But we don't care about that. We don't care that you voted for over 50 years in record numbers. We don't care that we take your tax dollars and we welcome in invaders that will threaten your life 24 hours a day. You can have a security system. You can have ADT and every type of security system that you can find is not going to protect you. And we know that. But we don't care. We have round-the-clock security around us. We got pretty much foolproof security around our sorry behinds, but you don't. We have paid security around us 24 hours a day, but you don't. But we want to convince you that your vote is important. We have convinced you that your vote is important. It's downright bizarre. How can a country convince their citizens that their vote count when they have witnessed an invasion for well over 3 years and before? How do that happen? Can anyone answer that? How can that happen? I need for somebody to answer that question for me. How do a country convince adults that their vote matters when they have witnessed their country be invaded for well over 3 years? And you have paid for it with your tax dollars. Your country told you to your face, we don't care about your safety. We don't care about your life. We are going to lay down and sleep like a baby. Because we don't care. We don't care about your safety. Because we know we have convinced you that your vote matters. And you haven't given us any pain. You have not figured out how to give out consequences. You like little toy soldiers just marching to be slaughtered. You like little toy soldiers just marching to be slaughtered. It's pitiful. It's downright pitiful. At the beginning, when folks first got the right to vote, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have the internet. So we all can get a pass to a certain extent. We all cannot beat ourselves up into a pulp. So you can say, well, the first decade, the second decade, the third decade, maybe the fourth decade, we can get a pass. But these last 3 years, there's no pass for any of us adults. Now, we can get a pass for the first decade, maybe, for the second decade, for the third decade, maybe the fourth decade. But there's no excuse for the past 3 years or the past decade. Let's just make it as fair as we can make it, as fair as possible. Let's just go by the past decade. I think the blinders came off in the past decade. I think everyone can agree to that pretty much. Everyone can agree to that the blinders came off in the last decade. Some folks' blinders came off way before 2012. A lot of folks' blinders came off well before 2012. Once again, Art gave the data. There are more non-voters than there are voters. Don't y'all think something is wrong with that? All you intelligent folks, don't y'all think that's something wrong with that? sense, folks. Don't you think something is wrong with that? Do you think those non-voters know something that you brain, you smart people think you know? Let me ask the question again. Do you intelligent folks and you common sense folks think those non-voters know something that you don't know? I think they do know something. They know when they wake up and they go to sleep at night, whether they're going to bed hungry. They know whether they're living in a neighborhood that's safe. They know when they get sick, they can't go to the hospital. They rather die than go to the hospital. They don't have a roof over their head. They're sleeping in their car, if not on the streets. They know something about suffering. They know something about this voting thing that's not impacting their life day to day. That's the secret that they know. See, you can dress it up, and you can do all the smooth talking, and you can dress it up, and you can do all the smooth talking that you want to do. But a human being knows what impacts their life day to day. So you can sashay and shimmy on to the neighborhood and go to the projects and the hoods and the ghettos and do your little smooth talking and do your little fear mongo and do your little shaming. And maybe you'll get a few. You may confess a few to register to vote. But those non-voters know what their day-to-day life is like. And they have checked out. Their voice don't matter. It only matters long enough for them to go in there and vote and come back out. They have figured that out. They understand. Oh, this voting thing does work for you persons in the 50% and above. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Even those persons that you may think are not smart, they are criminals, they are drug addicts, they live in the ghetto, they live in the projects, they live in the hood, they are beneath you. I'm smarter than them because I'm a political analyst. I have a college degree. I have a six-figure income. I'm way smarter than them. I know how to talk to my people. Like Chicago Red. I heard her say out of her own mouth along with a lot of other folks like her. I know how to go to my community and talk to my people. I really know how to go to my community and talk to my people. I really know how to go to my community and talk to my people. I really know how to go to my community and talk to my people. I just have to tell them they're going to have to speak. They're going to have to learn how to speak Spanish. I just have to tell them they got to learn how to speak Spanish. I just got to tell them they're not going to have those jobs at the fast food places anymore. Then you got these other folks who use other tactics. They coming up with all different kinds of words. They doing everything they can to shame them. Well, your ancestors died so you could have the right to vote. You do know that, don't you? Your ancestors died so you could have the right to vote. How dare you not go vote? You are a traitor. You are a darn right traitor. How dare you have the gall to sit home on the couch after your ancestors died so you could have the right to vote? How dare you be a traitor? How dare you have the balls or the gall to sit home on the couch? How dare you? No, any person that's preaching those lying narratives, any person that's preaching that lying narrative, that's a bald-faced lie. because you need to be running in the opposite direction. Because voting does work for the 50% and above. It does work. That's how they bamboozle folks, because it does work for those persons in that bracket above 50%. There's no doubt about that. So we got these two sides, Team A and Team B. They're constantly battling back and forth with each other as to how much money they're gonna get to spend of all those persons who are paying those taxes in the hood, in the ghetto, in the projects. For everything that you buy, you're gonna pay some taxes. You're gonna pay some taxes for everything that you buy and everything that you use. You're gonna pay some taxes. So Team A and Team B, they sit up there and pay themselves healthy paychecks every year. They get a pay increase. They pay themselves a healthy paycheck, and they become millionaires. They become millionaires while folks can't even get paid a living wage. But do you hear any of these political analysts in the past year? Have you heard anyone talk about minimum wage increase? I personally have not. Have anyone heard all these folks who run around here talking about you need to go vote? Have you once heard them say out their mouth, any of these politicians are going to fight for minimum wage increase? Has that came out of any person's mouth? I don't think so. I don't think so. Folks don't realize you're going to expose yourself one way or the other. You are bound to expose yourself. We each do it. We can try to hide it. We can try to hide it, but eventually you're going to expose your true character. Not one of us can hide it. Not one of us can hide it. So, but folks knock themselves out trying to hide it. So I just would like to ask the question, why do all these politicians get to make all this money like Marcel for Congress? It's a scam. And those who are telling other folks to go vote know that. Each one of these politicians, they can be the most honest person on the earth. When you join corruption, you are bound to be impacted by corruption. Let's say it together. If you join corruption, you are bound to become corruption, a part of that corruption. Now, there may be a handful or a few here and there that can escape it. The numbers is so small, it's insignificant. But we have clear proof. We have undisputed proof that corruption and evil run this country. But folks still tell themselves, go vote, go vote, go vote. And I have done a lot of evaluation. The reason why they are saying that is more than likely is because they are in that 50% bracket and above. It's okay. It's okay to admit to it. Every human being have a right to try to put themselves in the best position they can to have a good life. That no person should be shamed for that. No person should be jealous of that. But when you turn a blind eye